Amen. Hallelujah. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall continue our morning class. Let's sing hymn 364. 364.
Thy word have I hid in my tongue. Through all my days, Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against Thee, that I might not sin, that I might not sin. Thy word have I hid in my heart. Through Him they were taught, the Savior, the morning star. Salvation and peace have been brought. The strays of all, Thy word have I hid in my tongue. Might I not sing against Thee, that I might not sing, that I might not sing. Thy word have I hid in my tongue.
Let's kneel down and pray. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Okay, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall continue to study from the book of Joshua. After 2 classes, now we are enter into Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. No, I did that purposely. So that you be quiet. I did that purposely so that you have the chance to read the Joshua chapter 1 and chapter 2 first. Okay? So is I slow down so that you can catch up. Okay? So you be quiet. So in the class, as we enter into the book of Joshua, I do not wait. I assume, yes, I will always assume you read the chapters that we talk about in the class. So I don't slow down, I don't linger, I don't wait for you to find out what are we talking about. I assume you know the story. I assume you read the chapter. Okay? So that's the assumption of the class. I don't tell you the story. You read it yourself. Okay? And our job in here is to take the chapters in the book of Joshua and we analyze the content and we derive teaching. That's how we teach in NYTS. For SSC, we tell you the story, and from there we develop teachings. In NYTS, we don't. We assume that all of you know the story very well. Okay? So I need to continue. Otherwise, we will still be in chapter 1, verse 2 by the end of today. So we need to go into chapter 1. Joshua chapter 1. And from the beginning, yesterday we touched upon chapter 1, verse 1, that Moses died. The worker, the servant of the Lord, the generation, the era, the time of Moses, gone. Now is the new era. So Moses, he finished his job. He got off the stage. He bowed and he marched the finale of his act. Now he's off the stage. And the new actor, the new character, Joshua, come up to the stage and begin a new chapter. Okay? So in Joshua chapter 1, we begin by saying, the Bible begin by saying, the time of Moses is gone. Now is time of Joshua. However, you might realize that Joshua and Moses, they are two very, very different characters. What did the Bible say about Joshua at the very beginning? If you go to Joshua chapter 1, verse If you go to Joshua chapter 1, verse 6. Verse 6. Here says that in verse 6, that the Lord said to Joshua, be strong and of good courage. And you know what? In chapter 1, the same sentence, the same statement appeared 4 times. 4 times. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and of good courage. In one chapter, it actually came up 4 times. 4 times. So what does that tell you? It tells you that God was able to read the true feeling of Joshua. You know that when we talk about Joshua, our reputation, our impression of Joshua is strong, mighty man, leading the warriors into battle, fighting the Amalekites. Right? You know what? A lot of times when we talk about Joshua, our impression is that strong, powerful men, men of valor, mighty warriors, engaging battle, fearlessly killing the enemy. That's what we feel about Joshua. About God was able to see beyond the outside, the outer appearance. Outside, Joshua looked like a new leader, strong, well-trained, ready, like the rising sun. Okay? The young Joshua taking over, become the new leader. But inside, that God saw Joshua was timid and afraid. Yes, Joshua was afraid. That's why the Lord keep on saying, be courageous, be strong and courageous. Why do you need to keep on reminding a person? Why do you need to constantly tell a person, be strong, be courageous, be strong, be courageous? Why? Because he was not. Taking over the work of Moses is not as simple as you think. You might think that, oh, you know what? Joshua has been prepared for all these years. Joshua has been trained. Joshua is able. Joshua is, very, Joshua was ready. No. You have to remember that Moses was one of the most powerful leaders. He was holding the rod of the Lord. He is, in the eyes of Israel, Moses was like God walking on earth. You can picture that. He was known as the man of God. He was known as the advocate, the speaker, the spokesperson for the Lord. And then he raised his hand, victory come upon the Israel. He raised the rod, the Red Sea divided. Imagine that. Imagine that you are taking over the work of such a powerful character. Then you start wonder, you start doubt, would I ever live up to the expectation of Israel? He was like God. In the eyes of Joshua, in the eyes of Israel, Moses was like God. And now, he was gone. And you need to step forward. You need to step up and take on the responsibility. It could be a very, very scary moment for Joshua. Am I up for it? So, in here, what we found at the very beginning of the book of Joshua is that now Israel is inviting a new leader who happened to be terrified. However, fear is not a problem. You know that you always feel that you need to be the, maybe too much of those Marvel superhero movies. You always feel that, we need to be invincible, we need to be a superhero, we need to be strong, never show our side of weaknesses. Joshua, God was able to read him very well. God knows that he was afraid. But even he was terrified. Even he was a terrified leader. but the Lord was very okay having him taking the job. So fear is not the problem. The problem is when you are afraid. When you are afraid, what do you do about it? Okay? As a worker of the Lord, as a soldier in the house of the Lord, the fear is not the problem. The problem is when you are afraid, what are you going to do about it? So then here, the Lord provides Joshua comfort. And he showed Joshua how do you deal with fear so that you can be strong and be courageous. Let's go to chapter 1. So, to begin, how do you be strong and courageous? This is the teaching that you and we all need today. There will be times that you are terrified. There will be times that you are under a lot of pressure. There will be times that you just want to run away. But how do you be strong and courageous? How do you be strong and courageous according to the instruction of the Lord? Let's turn to Joshua chapter 1. Joshua chapter 1, verse 6. Verse 6. Here says, be strong and of good courage, for to the people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I sworn to their father to give them. That the Lord said, how do you be strong and courageous? Number one, remember. I made a promise. So from the very beginning, the Lord said to Joshua, you can be strong, be courageous. Do not worry about the enemy and the land of Canaan. Do not be afraid of their powerful military strength. You don't need to worry about any of those because it has nothing to do with you. Because the Lord said, I made a promise to Abraham. I made a promise to Moses. I made a promise to the Israel that you shall inherit the land. So, this is not about you. The enemy and the land of Canaan, whether they are strong or not, it has nothing to do with you. Because that's not your problem. That's God's problem. And God told you, you know what? I told you I will do it. I told you I will do it. What is there to worry about? So when you are able to recognize the promise of the Lord and grab onto the promise of the Lord, then you are able to be assured that things will be taken care for you if you believe in the promise. If you believe in the promise, then there's no fear. You are still in, most of you are just new in college. So right now, your life is still well provided without much, or most of you, not all of you, I know. Some of you have facing some struggle already. For most of you, you haven't seen the reality of life yet. So for you, life is still well provided. The only pressure in life is whether you are able to pass the class or not. All right, that's the only thing that you worry about. Not all of you, but most of you. But soon, in a few more years, when you draw close to the graduation of schooling, if you are not planning to continue your education into the grad school, if you need to face the reality of providing for yourself, finding a job, pay the bill, put the bread on the table. You know that when the reality kicks in, then that's when you might start feeling the pressure of the cruel world. You need to deal with what? You need to deal with what the world wants you to do versus what you believe that you should do as a Christian. For example, you finally found a job. after lengthy interview, you found a job, landed on the career that you want, that pays the money that you want. And then you happily begin the new job and say, thank God. Only later, you find out that the boss said, oh, we meet on Saturday. And you're like, no, we don't meet on Saturday. You know, Saturday is holiday, you know, Saturday and Sunday. And the boss will say to you, you are not kids anymore. All right? You are not a student anymore. Number one, two-day weekend is only a maybe or maybe not. And number two, you don't get summer vacation. You know that, right? No summer vacation, no winter vacation. Face the reality. Oh, so that's what happened after you start working. So you know that if the boss wants, he can say to you, hey, for the team, we meet on Saturday. What you going to do about it? What you going to do about it? You just got a car. So you have your mortgage, car loan. You buy insurance, you have to pay. Maybe you just got yourself a rental place, you need to pick up the bill. So you know what? All those are realities. And yes, sooner or later, sooner or later, you will have to deal with the reality. And at this time, there are two voices in your mind. One says, hey, I need this job. I need this job to keep up the payment. The other voice says to you, hey, Sabbath belongs to the Lord. It is what the Bible says, and it is what I believe. Okay? And then maybe, there is another voice say to you, don't worry, I will provide. Maybe. But at this time, this is a struggle. This is the dilemma. This is a struggle that you need to deal with. If you are able to remember what the Lord said, for I shall provide. Like when they were in the wilderness, lacking of food, the Lord said, I will rain manna from heaven, if it's what it takes. If you believe, very, very solid, very, very strong, you believe that every word the Lord said will never fail. If the Lord said He will provide, then He will provide. Okay? Then for you, the struggle is not that difficult anymore. All right, you know what? I told my boss, I cannot meet on Saturday because I go to church. If at the end, if my boss says fine, thank God. If at the end my boss let me go, that's fine too. For my God will surely supply my need. If you believe that, then it's not that terrified. You're not living in fear. Oh, what happens if I lose my job? What happens if I lose my job? You don't. Because you know that even you lose your job, that God is there to provide for you. Okay? When you believe that you will be fine, then it's no longer that terrifying. It's no longer that, that scary. You know what? Let's put God out of the picture for now. When I graduate, I start working. The company I work, they pay okay. They pay okay. It's a very easy job. I feel I was retired. I feel that I was like in the elder, like senior nursing home, because I was the only employee in the company. Has the company in U.S. branch? They have about 80 people. I was the only one under 50. So I feel like I was like in the elderly nursing home, because everyone is they're 50 and above, including the people in the warehouse. So they always ask me to carry those 5-gallon water, put on the drinking, because I'm the only one that's able to lift up that thing. Yeah. I mean, they pay fine, no pressure, easy job, easy money. The only thing I have to do is I have to figure out what to do every day, because they pay me, but I don't know what I do there. Okay? So yeah, I was bored. I was quite bored every day. But it doesn't matter. It's a job. It pays the bill. They pay good. They pay good and no pressure. I don't know. For some people, that might be a dream job. Yeah. Until one day, they reorganized the department. And then every Saturday, all the branch officers, like we have branches in all different parts of the United States. On Saturday, all the branch officers, they fly in for a meeting. And the boss want me to be there to coordinate the meeting. And I told the boss, I told you I don't work on Saturday in our 5-hour interview, remember? So yeah, the interview lasts for 5 hours. I was just like holding in. I was like, I need to use the bathroom. Are you done? Yeah. Well, I don't know. The interview turned into something really weird. He was telling me about how he grew up, his family, he was in the military. I was like, I don't really care. I need to use the bathroom. Okay? So I told the boss in the interview that I do not work on Saturday. And he said, sure, we respect the religion, we respect your faith. No problem. Yeah, they promised everything until they changed their mind. So my boss said, I give you a promotion and a raise. But you have to work on Saturday. I said, no. I said, thank you, but I'm not taking the promotion. My boss was furious. And he said, either you take the promotion or you walk. I was like, what? Either I take the promotion or I walk? Yeah, but you know that, yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, this is the first time ever in my life I got fired. I mean, the boss forced me to resign, so that he doesn't need to pay me for, what you may call it, the compensation. He doesn't need to, yeah. Still remember, that was the first time ever in my life. I was like, I got fired. I was laid off. But was I worried? Was I afraid? No. Why? As I said from the beginning, let's put God aside. I'm not going to tell you, because God will provide, I trust Him. No, because I know that my dad will pick up the bill. Because at that time, I lived with my dad. I was newly graduated from college. I lived with my dad. I take money from my dad's wallet. Not tell you to learn that. Okay? My mom recall everything, like what I take from my dad. All right? So I'm saying that I was not afraid. Why? Because I got support from my father. And when I told my father that the company want me to work on Saturday, and my dad is like, no, leave the company. Don't worry. I will buy grocery for you. Think about it. Even if you get support from your dad, then you have no fear. If you really believe that your Heavenly Father, the Almighty King, said to you that, don't worry, I will provide for you. If you truly believe, then what is there for you to worry about? But the problem is, we all know, but we don't really believe. That's why we are trying to use our way to, figure things out. We try to tell God that let's make a compromise. Maybe not every week. How about every other week? How about this? How about that? Why? Because we are unable to trust in His promise. Yeah, so I was fired. Let go. First time ever in my life. My mom was kind of happy about it. I was like, Mom, why are you so happy about it? And she's like, you know what? Because now we enter into the whole the church event season, like summer. My mom is like, we are lacking counselors for SSC, for NYTS. And my mom said, I signed you up already. Perfect time for you to get laid off. I was like, you are so cruel. I was very hurt. I lost my job. I have to start interview all over again. My mom said, that's your problem. You know my mom, right? That's your problem. The thing is, she said that, now I got counselors. Yeah. I was like, you signed me up. And you are happy that I lost my job. Such a nice mom. But anyway, you know my mom, that's how it is. So you know what? I went through the whole summer event. And then I took a break. After the summer event, I took a little break for 3 months. Do nothing. Yeah, actually do nothing. So after 3 months, I say to myself, oh, now it's time to, it's enough of the it's enough of the rehab from being fired, right? Now it's enough. And I told myself, oh, it's time to start looking for a job. So I kneel down and pray. I kneel down and pray and say to the Lord, whatever happened in the past half a year, losing my job and able to be serving as a counselor, helping out the holy work, that whatever happened, I believe that you have your plan. And I just follow along with the plan. But I think it's now, after all these things, Lord, I think it's time for me to go on and find a job. So I pray about it. I sent out my resume in the morning around 10-ish. I got my interview at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I got myself a job. My first resume I sent out. I got interview on the same day, and I was giving an offer on the same day. And the funny thing is, when I was giving an offer, I was talking to the interviewer. I went to the company, I sit in the office, I was like, I don't like this place. Tiny. It's just a small office with a small warehouse. I was like, nah, I don't like this place. I'm not going to take this job. But I will use it as a practice for interview. So that's what went through in my head. I was like, no, I'm not going to work in this kind of place. So when the manager, when the interviewer asked me how much I want, because I don't want the job anyway, so I threw him a much higher number. Because I figured that I don't want this job. I don't want this job. So I threw him the number that I feel is higher than what they pay for the newly graduate. And he was sitting across from me. So I was writing. I did not show him how much I want. I wrote on the paper. And because he was on the other side, right? So I was writing like backwards. And he looked at it. He was like, this is a little bit high. I was like, not that high. And then he offered me a number that's way higher than what I asked. He read it wrong. He read it wrong because I write the other way. I write it like, he read it wrong. So when he said, he actually gave me an offer, actually more than more than $20,000 of what I asked for. Yeah, much higher than what I really asked for. And he said, oh, that's kind of high. How about I give you this number in your 3 months probation? And when I saw the number, I was like, what's wrong with this guy? This guy is not very normal. But of course, when he gave me the number, I frowned. And I was giving this, well, I will take the job. And then only later, after I start working for the company, I learned that was only one of the trial location. So a few months into the new job, we actually relocate into a much, much bigger, like 4 times bigger location. Because that was just only a temporary spot for testing water. So the reason I tell you all this is because if you are able to remember my testimony and all the testimony you hear around you, that God promised He never let you down, then when you face the dilemma of life, struggle of life, you remember what He said, I shall be there for you, then the fear subsides. Okay? So be courageous, be strong. Why? Because the Lord made you a promise. But you have to remember, the promise is what? Is according to God's will. For example, entering into the promised land is the promise God made to Abraham, to Moses. That's what God said. If you are by the shore of Red Sea, and you say to the Lord, Egypt, I shall go. Give me strength. No. You will not see manna down from heaven. You will probably see lightning. Wah-pa! Who told you to go to Egypt? Because that was not the promise of the Lord. All right? The promise of the Lord only exists when you are trying to merge or fall into the direction of God. Well, for example, you are willing to sacrifice in order to abide by the teaching of the Bible, then the promise of the law shall come upon you. So the promise of the law only valid when you are trying to do the right thing. When you are trying to do the right thing for Him, then you will see how it works. So number one, remember the promise God made. Number two, if you go to verse 7. Joshua chapter 1 verse 7. Verse 7. Here says, only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the laws which Moses my servant command you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left. Okay? The second way for you to be strong and courageous, the second way for you to see the power of the law abide in your life is do according to His teaching. Okay? If you want to see how God works in your life, to begin, you need to have this desire to do the right thing. In the prayer session, we mentioned, if you turn a deaf ear from the law, even your prayer is an abomination, right? That's in the Proverbs, chapter 28. If you turn your ear away from the law, then don't bother praying. Don't bother, because God will not give you strength. So at that time, we say that before you come to the front, before you kneel down, before you pray, the result of your prayer has been determined by what? By your daily conduct. By your daily conduct. By how you live your life, how you talk to your parents, how you interact with your friends or your siblings. All those determine if God will even listen to your prayer or not. Nowadays in NYTS, we are much more understanding. For those of you, none of you, okay, let me just put it. You can check with your counselor. It wasn't like this before. In the old days, we are very, very strict. We have strong rule. We have very, very strict rule for you to abide. If you don't make the cut, you go. Can you imagine? We actually tell the student, if you don't follow the rule, you go home, you don't belong here. That's how strict we were. Nowadays, you're like, oh, this is so inhumane. Oh, I'm going to tell my mom. And then, I don't know. This is, I find, you know, let me tell you this way. We can play along. The new generation, they don't like this. They think this is too mean. All right? Fine with us. Fine with us. Because we ourselves, we don't enjoy to be mean. Maybe Selena do, but I don't. All right? Comfort her. She was about to cry. Yeah. But you know what? In the old days, we are very strict. When we tell you that you are not allowed to dress in certain way, we don't joke about it. The counselor will stand next to you and say, go change. He said, no, I don't think so. Go change. The counselor will nag you whole day until you go and change. You know that in the old days, in NYTS, brothers, nobody wear, what do you call that, shorts? No. No one. In fact, J2 and above, nobody wears shirts. Nobody wears shorts. Because that's for kids. That's for E1, E2, J1. But today, we understand because global warming, right? Gee. I mean, well, let me tell you this way. It doesn't bother me. Why do I want to be the bad guy? Always tell you, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. You know, the way you dress. Oh, the color of your hair. Let me tell you, we dye your hair back if you want to stay. Back then, I was very surprised when my mom just grabbed the kid and said, I will dye your hair. I will cut your hair. Oh, no, you're not going anywhere. Yeah, that's how we do it in the old days. You might think that, oh, you know, this is so old school, this is so inhuman, this is all this. What, you know, why do we post such a strong rule in the past? Because we always believe when there is an order, then there is God. But when there is a lot of so-called freedom, then it becomes much harder for you to touch God. Because you know what? Every time you need to make a decision, every time when you need to struggle in your heart, you say, this is what I want. And then you look on the other side, and you say, but this is what the NYTS rule and regulation say. So you are always in this struggle, and you need to decide whether you are going to insist on your ego or you're going to submit into the rule and regulation. You might not agree. You might not agree with the rule and regulation. Why do I have to wake up at 7? Why do I need to be by the Bible study by 7:30? At home, I sleep until 10. Or I sleep until 1. You know what? You can have a lot of this I. But whenever you are forcing yourself to look into the bottom of your heart and ask yourself a question, am I going to listen to myself or am I going to try to submit to the rule and regulation? Whenever this struggle, this is when your faith grows. This is when your faith grows. And the moment when you say to yourself, whatever, if this is what they say, and I want to stay, fine, I will do it. I don't like it, but I will submit. You are not submitting to the NYTS. You are not submitting to me. You think that I really care? You're not my kids, so it doesn't really. I mean, why do I want you to be angry with me by posting all the rules on you? How is that? It doesn't benefit me in any way. It doesn't benefit your counselors to nag you, right? But why do we do it? Because we want you to struggle. We want you to face the struggle, and by making the decision that you do not like, that's called submit to the law. And whenever you make that very, very difficult decision, you say, you know what? Fine, I'm going to do it. You are not submitting to the rule of man. You are actually bowing down in front of the Lord. Okay? It has nothing to do with the rule and regulation anymore. It has everything to do with your attitude. And very often in the past NYTS, when we found a youth who were able to surrender to the Lord, who were able to give up what they want, who were able to play along with the rule and regulation, very often the students were able to end NYTS with so much experience with the Lord in prayer. That's why do according to the teaching of the law. It's not only about, I am the teacher, you are the student, I tell you what to do, you better listen. It's not about that. Because every time when you need to submit to the law, the teaching is called a searching of heart. A searching of heart. This is when you need to look at yourself clearly and look at your faith clearly, and you need to decide, what do you want? And if the answer is no, by all means, whatever it takes, I will stay in NYTS. Even it means dye my hair back. Even it means cut my hair short. Even it means changing my clothes to the acceptable outfit. then when you made that choice, in the eyes of the Lord, what the Lord sees is an obedient soul that deserves a lot of blessing and guidance. That's how it is. So the Lord said to you, you know that from the beginning to the end, the Lord always say to the Israel, return, follow the rule, return, abide by the law. Why? Because this is how you receive blessing, by humbly submit to yourself and say, fine, you can have your way, for I am your servant. Let's put it, Mary in the Bible, the mother of Jesus. If you look at her story, you will realize one thing. She did not want. She did not want to give birth to Jesus. She didn't. She did not. That was not in her plan. That's not how she wanted. Right? When the angel say to her, oh, you who are great blessed. And she's like, what are you talking about? Oh, you shall give birth you shall give birth to Messiah. She's like, how can such a thing be? She doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. But then the angel say, this is the will of God. And she say, in that case, I am your servant. May your will be done. So, being faithful is not only about, it's not about, oh, I just do whatever it's not about being the perfect TJC student, being the perfect teacher. No, being faithful means that you struggle. You have your own desire. You have your own preference. But at the end of the day, you say to the Lord, if this is what you want, so be it. That's what makes you strong. That's what brings you the life of Joshua, the life of victory. Okay? So that's number 2. That remember is a promise. Do according to what I say. And you will see how the door open for you. Okay? Number 3. Lastly, in Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Verse 9, have I not commanded you, be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid and be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I am with you. Okay? So then here we found that in chapter 1, 3 times the Lord said to him. 3 times the Lord said to Joshua, be strong and courageous, be strong and be courageous. Because the direction that you are heading, I am going to make it happen. For this is what I promise. So if I promise, it will happen. For you, you just need to do the right thing. But at the end, wherever you go, you always remember one thing. You are never alone. So when you say you are lonely, maybe just because you did not turn around and see the Lord standing next to you. Apostle Paul, when he was old, close to dying, he was in jail. And he said, that was one of the most pitiful statements in the Bible. An old man in the jail, and he said, everybody left me. Can you imagine how sad, how pathetic? Serving the Lord for entirety of his life, building churches, preaching gospels, powerful workers, but at the end of his life, he was alone in jail. So can you imagine if you were Paul? Hey, after I work for my entire life, and this is what I get? What are you talking about? Is it a joke? I should be like, having a comfortable life, surrounded by people who adore me. I should be well treated. But no, when he was old and close to his death, he said, he was in jail. And he said, everyone have left me. For you, it might be a very sad statement. Maybe some of you feel that, oh, I am so lonely for everyone have left me. But may God help you, every one of us, May God help us, because for Paul, when he uttered that statement, he was not passive. He was not desperate, because he said, everyone have left me, but the Lord is always by my side. The Lord is always by my side. So when I turned, I was never lonely, for the Lord is always there for me. Same thing, the Lord said to Joshua, be strong and be courageous. There's nothing you need to be afraid of. Because look, I am right here, standing next to me. Look at me. Do not look at the reality. Look at me. Do not look at the difficulties. When you see me, you shall be strong and be courageous. May God help us. Let's all pray in silence. Amen. We will delay the next class for, we end 5 minutes late, so we'll delay for another 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll push back.